nice income, but because they were new in the country, they couldn't get a mortgage. They had very nice income, and they had savings of £11,000. We could have taken £11,000, but this property needed a little bit of work. So we told them, look, we'll take only £5,000 deposit, so the rest of the money we can spend on stripping the wallpaper and changing the carpets. So that's what we agreed. We took £5,000 deposit and we made £480 cash flow from this property. It's a lovely deal. Bob's mortgage is very, very cheap, so that's why it gives us nice cash flow. Our payment is we receive £805 a month, and we pay out £320, I think, a month to the lender. So over a 60-month period, we're going to get £28,800 cash flow, net cash flow. Also, we're going to have £37,000 back-end profit, the difference between what they owe us on completion in 5 years' time and the difference how much we owe our bank. But remember, we promised to pay Bob £15,000 on completion. So 37 minus 15, we're going to have £22,000 net back-end profit.
So how much money are we going to make on this property?
£55,000. How many of you would like this?
How many tenants have we moved in?
None.
How much did we pay for it?
Well, nothing.
How much did we spend on repairs?
They spent, well, we took £5,000 and they spent their £6,000 on repairs.
Listen, before we move on, we are filming this, so if anybody wants a free version of this filming, then please put your details on this piece of paper that's being handed to you now. It's going to be passed along the road. We'll send you the filming. So please do that quietly while we're speaking. We're going to move on to a lemon. That's enough of babysitting. Give you an idea of what we're doing on babysitting. Does anybody here know what a lemon is? There's only 3 people in the room know what a lemon is. So, Mesud, maybe you can tell us what a lemon is.
Lemon is a property that you don't want to own. A property that is usually negative equity, something that is upside down. Basically, something like the example we've shown you. So, usually the mortgage debt on the property is greater than what the value is.
So, something like this?
Oh yeah, it looks exactly like that. So, let's say the value of the house is £100,000, but the mortgage outstanding on it is £110,000. So if you had to sell the property today on the open market, you would have to pay £10,000 out of your pocket to get rid of this property. So that's a property that you don't own. Do you think that there are some new build properties here in Cardiff that are in this situation? Any of you?
We understand that Cardiff, or Wales generally, is lemon city. So we're told. So there's a lot of money to be made here in Cardiff or in Wales generally on these lemons.
I see. I think we should stay longer.
I think we should. Let's stay over another couple of weeks. Give us some more information about lemon.
Lemon is also a property that the rental income is less than the monthly outgoings. So it could be because you have cost of service charges, because it's a leasehold property. It could be because there are maintenance fees and ground rent fees. It could be because you have expensive mortgage on it. Probably you may have done a deal with a subprime lender or a lender which has got high fixed rate, etc.
So what's that look like?
It looks like a bit like that. So let's say the house on the left-hand side has got a rent of $525, but on the right-hand side, the bank and the mortgage plus the monthly outgoing service charge and ground rent cost $645. So actually that property is £120 per month in negative cash flow.
Well, I don't mind admitting I have a few of these myself.
How does that look?
It looks a bit like that.
And how does that make you feel?
Pretty bad.
What does it do to you?
It empties my pockets. Every month I have to subsidise the negative cash flow from my mortgage. So let's explain what we're going to do with the lemon.
Okay, let's give you a deal.
So this particular property belongs to me actually, and well, that did belong to me. I have 2 of those because they were such a great deal. It's a property in Manchester city centre, and I bought them around about 2004, 2005 off plan, never saw the property, and I received £12,000 cash back on each property. So no money in, £12,000 cash back on each property. All I need to do is find a tenant. No brainer. So I've got 24 grand in the bank and 2 properties, and I wasn't even worried about finding a tenant really. But you know, that I wasn't alone. There was thousands and thousands of investors buying property at that time, off plan in city centres, being overdeveloped and overpriced by developers. And a lot of people like me have ended up with these lemons. So,
Do you still have the 24 grand though?
I don't. I feel as though I've been served up a lemon and I don't know what to do with it.
Why is that?
Well, because I've got negative cash flow to around about £135 a month. Negative equity, £40,000.
Ladies and gentlemen,
per property.
when I look at this property, I realised that it was, when I put it on the spreadsheet, I realised that this property was quite significantly negative cash flow. I said, Doug, we should get rid of this. Next day, I looked on the values of this property. 1 bedroom flat, Manchester city centre, Ellesmere Street. How much do they sell for? Well, 1 bedroom flat, there was only 1 flat for sale in that development. Same 1 bedroom on the 4th floor for sale for £99,000. Knowing that we've got £138,000 mortgage on it. So if you do the math, it's about £40,000 in negative equity, isn't it? Okay, so how do we get rid of this property? Well, we do the same thing that we've done with all our instalment contracts. £5,000 buys your house, £807 a month. House is yours, no mortgage required. Okay, so remember, this property was £135 in negative cash flow because the rent was £525 and we had outgoings of well over £630. So that property was £135 in negative equity. Okay, because we sold it on an instalment contract, we sold the property. We didn't move a tenant buyer in, we moved a buyer in. We legally exchanged contracts and our buyer paid their stamp duty. Now, they are responsible for paying the service charge, they're responsible for paying the ground rent, they're responsible for paying the maintenance fees on the property.
Thank you very much.
So, all of a sudden, a property that is £135 in negative equity is £260 in positive cash flow. How is that possible?
Well, we sold it on an instalment contract.
Absolutely. So we turned a property that was £40,000 in negative equity upside down to £20,000 in net profits.
So this was a property, as you say, it's £40,000 in negative, and we're going to cash out on this property £20,600. But if you think about it, I was £40,000 in negative equity, so if we add that back in, it's actually a £60,000 profit on a property that I had no chance of selling, and I was just having to subsidise every month. I understand in Cardiff Bay, there's a lot of new build going on in the past. I don't know if it still is, probably still is. Well, I imagine down in Cardiff Bay there's some properties down there like this today. There's a lot of people down there that are feeling as though they've got a lemon and they don't know what to do with them. So there's a massive opportunity for investors to speak to estate agents, to speak to other investors, to advertise. We buy property that's in negative equity and negative cash flow. Let us help you turn around your lemons and turn them into gold mines. Massive opportunity, particularly here where we are today.
Come on, give us a better one.
This is a bit boring actually compared with that one. This is just another lemon that I owned, which I no longer wish to own. It wasn't in negative equity. It was simply a 1-bed ex-council flat with a garden, but it had a noisy neighbour upstairs with a dog, and he had no carpets and he wore hobnail boots. So of course he used to make a lot of noise. The dog used to badger my tenants. So I used to lose my tenants on a regular basis. I was forever finding new tenants, and every time I put a new tenant in, I had to send somebody around to cut the grass because the tenants would never cut the grass in the garden. So I just wanted to get rid of it. The fact is that it was the value was around about 100,000. I had a mortgage outstanding of about 76,000. This was another one of those properties I bought below market value using none of my own money. So I ended up with a bank mortgage of about 76,000. We moved a lady in and she agreed us to pay £125,000. So give us figures on that.
Well, Gillian, she had some savings from her parents. She inherited about £30,000. So, but she was self-employed musician. So her income was very, very low. So she was earning about £1,000 a month. And she said, well, if I put a larger deposit, could you make my payments in the 500 region? We said, yes, Gillian, £25,000, and your monthly payments will be £560. Okay, we have a mortgage of £260, so that gives us a net cash flow of £300. So we locked in Gillian for 5 years. So So that, we took £25,000 up front and £18,000 in cash flow, okay? So, over a 5-year period, £18,000. We're going to get another £18,000 back-end profit. That is the difference between how much Gillian owes us on the year 5 minus our settlement figure to the bank. That is our back-end profit. So,
well, a property that I wasn't going to make a lot of money from because
one bedroom council flat.
One bed council flat, didn't cost me any money to pick it up. I'm going to make a profit of how much?
61.
£61,000. I calculated it would take me forever to make that from rental. But of course now I no longer have a tenant. I no longer have to pay service charge or ground rent, and I no longer have to do any repairs or maintenance. This was a property that is near to London, and the postcode is
E16, near City Airport.
City Airport, just by Woolwich Ferry. And it was in serious negative equity when it came to us. But the owner of the property was again in arrears with their lender and just about to be repossessed. So we agreed with the lender that we would pay £100 per month on top of the mortgage payments, and we would start to make the mortgage payments again if they didn't repossess. So the repossession was stopped, and now we've got this property that we're now controlling, but the problem is it is £65,000 in negative equity. Now you'd think, what could you do with that? And there's probably some properties down in Cardiff Bay that are similar to this. 65,000, maybe some of those penthouses even more. We turn this round, Mesud, let's have some figures.
Well, this property had nearly £240,000 mortgage, including the arrears, okay? So it was worth only about 170, 175. So if we're really, really generous on the price, £65,000 negative equity. Okay, but he had a very cheap mortgage. It was a Mortgage Express tracker rate, was I think what, 2.25?
1.75 above base.
Very cheap mortgage. And we said, well, here is a good opportunity. Okay, I know the property is massively upside down, but we can have a lot of cash flow, and we can use that cash flow to repay the loan down. So if you lock the buyer in for a long period of time, that will repay the whole negative equity down. And because it's in London, sometime this property will go up in value. Because it's quite close to the city centre, it's zone 3, right on the DLR, King George V, the station, so it's very good commuting distance to central London. So that's how we see the opportunity in this. We advertise £7,000, buys you a 2-bedroom flat in zone 3 London, £1,113 per month, flat is yours, no mortgage required. So we moved in a buyer. The buyer came all the way from Leeds. She just got a job offer in central London, in the city, and she loved the fact that she could move with £7,000 and it will cost her the same amount per month to buy the house as to rent it. If she had to rent the place, she'll pay £1,100 anyway. But she could buy it for £1,100 on an instalment contract. So we moved the buyer in and we locked her in for 7 years. Okay, we can only calculate 5-year profits. With the 5-year profits, just from cash flow is £33,000. Okay, £33,000 just from cash flow.
65,000 negative equity. How much are we going to make from this?
Well, £40,000. Actually, £100,000, £105,000.
If we add back the negative equity of 65, back onto the profit of 40, over £100,000 that deal is worth. But it's 65 in negative equity. How much did we pay for this property?
Nothing.
How many tenants did we move in?
None.
How much did we spend on repairs and maintenance?
Nothing.
Do you think there's an opportunity out there today that we could go and find some investors that purchase these properties back the last 10 years or so, that were purchasing property like money had gone out of fashion, off plan, in city centres, from greedy developers that were overpricing and overdeveloping our areas? And I don't know Cardiff, first time I've been here today to be honest with you, but I understand there was a lot of stuff going on in Cardiff Bay when I was buying property in the London area, and I was encouraged to buy in Cardiff Bay. I wouldn't do because it was just too far for me to travel. But there must be a lot of property down there today that is in this situation, and for us investors, it's just waiting for us to go and take advantage of it. And there are no costs involved if you know what you're doing.
How many of you, ladies and gentlemen, would like to make £40,000 per deal, helping other people from getting rid of their negative equity properties? How many of you? I enjoy that. I don't know about you, but I enjoy helping people, helping them stop their repossession and get rid of their negative properties.
So we've looked at a couple of scenarios now. This is a particularly straightforward scenario that we're going to buy a property with a mortgage. Unusually, we're going to go down the bank, borrow the money on a buy-to-let mortgage. Howard would know the mortgage works. Simple 75% loan to value. So we purchased the property, so I need to look round because I can't see the screen from here. We purchased this property, 36 Jellicoe Avenue, from a lady named Jane. The value of the property is 160,000. She has a mortgage outstanding on the property of £24,000. Very, very small mortgage. And what she wanted was to go and buy a caravan to put on a piece of land that she owns. She wanted to buy the caravan, stay out of her days in the caravan with her horses and her grandchildren. That was her ambition. So we just checked to see really what was important to her. And the important thing was to sell her house quickly, get the money to buy this caravan.
She'd already been 12 months on the property market. The property was listed for £165,000. Nobody was buying it. Nobody was coming across and willing to buy the house.
So we discovered what she needed. And what she needed was, right now she needs £110,000 in order to pay off the mortgage and buy the caravan. What she wanted is £160,000 because all the buyers, all sellers want all the money. But this lady needed to buy the caravan and pay off the mortgage. So we gave her what she needed, £110,000. And we agreed to pay her some more money later on, down the road, another £25,000. So for those of you who are mathematicians in the audience, you'll notice that 110 and 25 equals 135. So we purchased the property under market value, as well as paying some now and some later. So it's a double strategy that we've used. Why did we get 135,000 on the value?
Next door was a very derelict property, but pretty much the same property. So that one was for sale for 135. It was a probate property for sale for 135, and I said, Jane, look, next door is for sale for 135. Okay, I can buy that one, and I can probably buy it cheaper than that because it is for sale for 135 and no one has bought it yet. So, well, do you know what we can do? I can offer you £110,000 now, £25,000 within 5 years, or I can offer you £35,000 within 10 years. Which option would you choose? She said, well, I can't wait 10 years, but I'll go for the 5-year option, and just give me the 110 now, and give me 25 within 5 years.
Good, so we've arranged the mortgage with the Mortgage Works, and I told you earlier on that I was a mortgage broker back in the late 80s. In fact, I was a mortgage broker for 20 years, so I did learn some stuff. And I learned some no money down strategies, and I used that no money down strategy to buy this property, which meant that based on a value of 160, I raised a mortgage of 120. That's 75%. And what I did is I paid £110,000 to Jane, and there was £10,000 left over, which I took and put in the bank. It was a strategy that I use, and I've been using for 20 years, and I still use it today. I'm happy to share that information with you another time, or at the back of the room, but not here. Basically, I put my deposit in on Friday afternoon, and it comes back to being on Monday morning, and it's completely legal. So it looks something like that. I raised the money from the bank, gave Jane most of that, and kept £10,000 from my back for myself, and then we agreed to pay her the other £25,000 later on. The thing is that when you owe somebody some money over a long period of time, they have a tendency to come to you a little bit earlier and say, could I have the money sooner, please? Because sure as eggs are eggs, they're going to need the money sooner rather than later. At that stage, we use a nibbling technique, which is another strategy that we teach in our workshop, to nibble back some of that money so we get a further discount.
So 6 months within to the deal, we gave 110. After 6 months, we received a call Jane saying, well, guys, I need my money early. And Doug said, well, we can't give you all of the money today, but we can agree on a settlement figure. She said, well, I'll accept £12,000. And I said then, Doug, you are being too generous. Let's agree for 10. And she accepted £10,000. So actually the cashback, the £10,000 cashback that we already put in our bank, we gave her after 6 months and wiped off the £25,000. So actually